Welcome to Supernatural History TV, where today we'll be talking about the four horsemen of the apocalypse, the White Horse.
I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the seven seals. Then I heard one of the four living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come."
The four horsemen of the apocalypse are to bring death and destruction upon the world with great cataclysm. They are released with the opening of the four seals of the apocalypse. There are four horsemen. The first is white, the second is the red horse, the third is the black horse, and the last is the pale horse. These four horsemen are from the Revelations to John. Each of the horsemen bring destruction such as war, famine, and death. But were they unleashed before the apocalypse? Some scholars suggest that God has unleashed the four on a few occasions. The horsemen of the apocalypse were released before the end of the world. This is in Ezekiel, where God sends four beasts from his throne room to bring death and destruction.
For thus saith the Lord God, how much more when I send my four sore judgments upon Jerusalem, the sword, and the famine, and the noisome beast, and the pestilence, to cut off from its man and beast.
If this is true, then the four horsemen seem to be not as apocalypse bringers, but judgment from God, almost like reapers that have separate skills to enact God's wrath upon the enemies of God. Secondly, could these horsemen be responsible for much of the destruction and devastation in the Old Testament, especially in Exodus, and judgment upon the Egyptians? One could say there has been a lot of apocalypses if these horsemen continue to be released.
And before the throne there was a sea of glass like unto crystal, and in the midst of the throne, and round about the throne, were four beasts full of eyes before and behind. Now I watched when the Lamb opened one of the seven seals, and I heard one of the four living creatures say with a voice like thunder, "Come." And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and its rider had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he came out conquering and to conquer.
The White Horseman has grown in controversy over its identity. Scholars suggest that the White Horseman is either Christ or the Antichrist that will be unleashed. What are the arguments for each of the cases and why it might not be either? Jesus Christ, the White Horseman? In Revelations 19, John describes what is believed to be Jesus Christ riding the white horse, bringing the armies of God.
Now I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. And he who sat on him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he judges and makes war. His eyes were like a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. He had a name written that no one knew except himself.
If Jesus is the White Horseman, why does he come back down 2 times? And why does the other horseman even need to show up and cause destruction if Jesus brings armies? Further, the title of Lamb is a title of Jesus Christ. As stated earlier in Revelation 6, the Lamb opened up the 7 seals. This would mean Jesus opened up the first seal, which was claimed to be himself, let loose himself on the world, and later come back down on another white horse with an army. If Jesus is not the white horse, then some claim the horseman to be the Antichrist. According to the Greek translation, the horseman will arrive in great wickedness and sorrow and wears a crown, while Jesus is mentioned to wear many crowns. Further, in the Greek translation, the crown that is worn by the white horseman is referred to the crown of victory by the conqueror, while in Revelations, Jesus wears a crown of royalty. Some scholars suggest that the Antichrist will conquer kingdoms riding a white horse, deceitfully establishing himself as the false Christ. If this is really the case, then this would definitely be concerning for a lot of people who believe that the white horseman is Jesus. This is really concerning due to the fact that so many people could be unknowingly worshiping a false Christ. However, in Ezekiel, it might give a different perspective. Ezekiel's description of the four horsemen.
Now I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. And he who sat on him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he judges and makes war. His eyes were like a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. He had a name written that no one knew except himself. And from the midst of it came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had a human likeness, but each had 4 faces, and each of them had 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and the soles of their feet were like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like burnished bronze. Under their wings, on their 4 sides, they had human hands, and the 4 had their faces and their wings thus. Their wings touched one another. Each one of them went straight forward, without turning as they went. As for the likeness of their faces, each had a human face. The 4 had the face of a lion on the right side, the 4 had the face of an ox on the left side, and the 4 had the face of an eagle. Such were their faces, and their wings were spread out above.
These 4 creatures would be judgment that God would send to earth to punish those that went against him. Do you think every time these 4 beings that came down to earth for judgment are triggering mini apocalypses? If so, then could it be that the revelations of the 4 horsemen to bring the apocalypse be not world devastating as it says? Do you believe the White Horseman is Jesus or the Antichrist or something else? Leave it in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe and stay in tune for more Supernatural History TV.